Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's De-JOE-tional. So we have just a couple weeks left of. I'm laughing because this is my seventh. Whoop, that's eight. This is my seventh take so far. I've been interrupted by the dog barking several times and nudging at me. So I thought I moved from where she eats into the kitchen, and then she decided to bark at the back door to go out. So I decided to come outside, and as soon as I sit down, our neighbors are getting a new roof. They started hammering and stuff. So, hey, it is what it is, man. This is what you're going to get. And honestly, it fits in perfectly with the point of today's lesson. Today's devotional is about the church of not being horrible. Now, how many times have we gone to worship and we've left thinking, man, Joe really screwed that up again? Or I can't believe they can't get the slides right. Or I can't believe the Facebook feed was messed up again. Or I can't believe the praise team was loud. The music was too loud. How many times have we left church with a negative thought about the way it's produced? Often, right? As much as we try to put together a close to perfect worship service, we know that that can never happen. It hasn't ever happened. It won't ever happen. So be prepared, because I guarantee you something will go wrong. I've missed announcements before. I've mispronounced people's names before. I just not that long ago, during Joys and Concerns, I look right at a congregant that I know very well, and I couldn't remember their name. That's just how it is. You know, we all have those days, but we tend to hide those days. We tend to not show our flaws and failures. So this week, our chapter is called The Church of Not Being Horrible. I think, that should be our goal from now on. We can't be perfect. We're not going to be perfect. So let's just shoot for not being horrible, shall we? So in this chapter, the author talks about the best spiritual communities are about recovery communities where people can come in flawed and show their flaws and be accepted. People can fail and fall and heal and be honest with their struggles. What prevents more churches from embodying that aspiration? Why can't we accept people's failure? We say we do. Oh, everybody is welcome. Oh, are you hurting? Let me help you with that. Let me comfort you in your trials and in your struggles. And then what do? Hey, did you hear about what Bob did last week? Oh, did you hear what's bothering Martha this week? Right? We can't do that. We also don't want to appear as though we are flawed, as somehow there's something wrong with our community because there's a few, I don't want to say bad apples, but there's some things going on that aren't quite right. We want to hide those things when we should be accepting those things. Church is often referred to as a doctor's office or hospital or something like that. It's where the sick go to be healed, to become healthy. I doubt that there are many doctors that leave their office laughing at their patients' illnesses, injuries, whatever. I doubt that there's many nurses on hospital floors gossiping about what's wrong with their patients. They might gossip about something they said or something like that. I get that. But they just don't do it. So why do we do it? We have a tendency to not be the church of not being horrible. I'm going to read a little bit from this chapter for you. We also, in getting into this, okay, here we go. So this is from chapter 16, The Church of Not Being Horrible. And this is John Pavlovich writing. I've always joked that I was going to start a new church, the Church of Not Being Horrible. Our mission statement would simply be, don't be horrible people. Our what we believe doctrinal statement would be replaced by how we treat people promises. You get that difference? It's not what we believe, but how we treat people. Don't treat them as less worthy of love, respect, dignity, joy, and opportunity than you are. Don't create caricatures of them based on their skin color, their religion, their sexual orientation, the amount of money they have, or the circumstances they find themselves in. Don't seek to take away things from them that you already enjoy in abundance. Civil rights, clean water, education, marriage, access to health care. Don't tell someone's story for them about why they are poor, depressed, addicted, victimized, or alone. Let them tell their story and believe they know it better than you do. Don't imagine that your experience of the world is everyone's experience of the world. I love that line. We forget that all the time. Don't imagine that your experience of the world is everyone's experience of the world. That the ease, comfort, support, affection you have received are universal. Don't be preoccupied with how someone experiences God, how they define family, whom they love. Cultivate your own faith, family, and marriage. You know, that I was reminded of that line quite a bit during the pandemic. Don't imagine that your experiences of the world is everyone's experience of the world. We all talked about how we were all in the same boat, that we were all experiencing the same stuff. We were all in the same boat during the pandemic, which is not true. And I've said this before. You guys have heard it. I think I said it a couple weeks ago. We were all in the same storm. We were all in the same storm, but not necessarily all in the same boat, because we all have different circumstances by which we live. The Church of Not Being Horrible would gather every week to celebrate the inherent goodness of people, to share stories of the ways we succeeded in being less horrible to our families, co-workers, and strangers, and to challenge ourselves to be even less horrible in the coming week. Notice we're not saying be perfect, be as good as we can. Let's just try to be less horrible than we were the week before. We'd do this faithfully, repeatedly, and passionately, and hopefully we'd begin to watch the world around us gradually become less angry, less bitter, and less painful. It may seem like a low bar to set, but it's actually a beautiful aspiration. Again, you don't need a church in order to not be horrible, but if you are a community of faith, in whatever way you measure such things, horrible had better not be your calling card, or you're doing something really wrong. To the poor and the oppressed and the marginalized around you, you should be really good news. So when we walk away from worship talking about the quality of the sound, the comfort of the chairs, the brightness of the screens, instead of the content of the message and the warmth of the people, are we really being not horrible? Our goal is to, I love this line too. Here's our goal to be. The most transformative communities are places where people live together in the unknowing, admitting that they're trying to figure out the unfigureoutable and giving each other a break when they understandably fall on their faces. Guys, we're human. We're going to fall on our faces. We do fall on our faces. But that can't be the focus of our lives. We can't go and gossip about it, and we can't look for flaws in everybody. Instead, let's look for ways that we are less horrible than we were the week before. That's it for this week. I'm not going to go on too much longer because there's more to this I could read, but you get the gist. Instead of trying to be perfect, because you're not going to be, let's just try to be less horrible than we were the week before. And as with always, we've heard this our whole lives. Well, he's not talking to me. You're not talking to me. Yeah, I am. And you can't see this, but I'm talking into my computer. There's a screen right there that I can see myself. So I'm talking to myself too. Hey Joe, let's be less horrible than you were last week. All right? There we go. That's the Joe-tional for this week. We will see you all next week. Blessings, Godfrey first.